Yeah, I've been waiting for this.
Hey everyone, it's Press Any Button and we are back with our action adventure series. Now in today's part we're just going to be focusing on some aesthetics, just kind of some things that smooth out our jumps a little bit, which are jumping animations, pretty crucial for our jumps because otherwise it just looks really jank. So we'll get into that and it'll be nice and quick because it's really revisiting a lot of the stuff that we've done before. Now I'd like to quickly demonstrate to you what I mean by these jumping animations. So we have our character, and when we jump up, we jump down. Another thing that I implemented is that we have a double jump animation. So we're just gonna figure out how to get all that sorted. You can see a little bit of a preview of what we'll be doing as you look in the animator here, but I'm just gonna run you through it. So the first thing we're gonna do is we'll click on our character in the inspector, or whoever your character is, where they have their import information. Double click on that and you'll be able to open up Blender. Now every time we make a change here, you know that we make a change to our character in Unity. You would have learned that from the last part. Now you're probably coming into it with an area that looks like this. If you are and you're panicking, just right click when you get the option to kind of like drag the windows and then hit join area and then join it in the direction that you want to. And so that'll give you like an arrow and you can choose which way you want to join that. Join it with the way that I just showed you so that you have the main scene. Great, so we have our character here and we've worked with the timeline enough to know how to add animations and all that good stuff. And you will have your character here at frame 460-ish if you've been following it word for word, or some other different frame if you've been doing your own thing. So anyway, you'll be at the end of your aerial attack animations, and I'll just demo how I created these animations. So the first thing that I do is I toggle this auto keying button to on, so that every time we move our character just a little bit, we'll get new information for our keyframe, which is really awesome. When you are in pose mode, you want to double tap A so that you select all the parts of your armature. Because if you only have, say, this selected, you're only going to select the keyframes that affect this. Whereas if you have this selected, all of it, you'll be able to manipulate all of it in one go. So I'll quickly show you what I did with these animations. So we have our jump up animation. You would have seen this. So our character's going up and I wanted to demonstrate that really well. Good head movement and pretty straight, just like they bounded up into the air. And it's very simple of a setup. So I've got my original frame. I wiggled the limbs a little bit for the second frame and then I go back to the original frame. And it's the same with our mid jump. So I have just had our character, you know, sort of like air time, hang time, that kind of position. Wiggle to the middle, back to origin. And then we have our fall animation, wiggle to the middle, back to origin. So nice and simple stuff. And then with our double jump animation, I made it a little bit more dynamic. If you've ever played, I don't know, Madagascar on the PS2, then you'll know when you double jump, as I believe Alex the Lion, he does a front flip instead of just the standard jump that he does. It's a good way to communicate to your player that they've actually done this and that they're probably out of double jump. So if they're not going to make the jump now, they're kind of screwed. Now, super quick, I'll just tell you how I set up these animations. So what I do is I take a frame that I think I can work off of, and I'd hit Shift D, having selected all the armature and just that one keyframe, and then just plop it where I want. So there we go, we've got that keyframe there. And then all you gotta do is just rotate your bits, not like that. In the pose mode, rotate your bits, select specific bones at this point, and just generate that movement. Done it before, I'm sure you guys can do it again. And you really just want to work on that until you get your desired effect, till you have nice, good animations like this. Make sure you space out your animations a little bit. We will be cutting them out of the timeline, but we don't want the in-between of them switching from one animation to another being in our final thing. So I'm going to close Blender. I'm not going to save, but you guys are. and that's gonna save your project. You'll save your animations, which is really cool. Now, if we go into the animator, I'll show you how you can create a blend tree. A blend tree is a way that you can blend your animations together. So I'm gonna hit create state and new blend tree. So this is a nodey thing that can hold multiple animations, which is really awesome. So we can either right click on it and hit add motion, or we can go to the motion list here and then just click on that. And that gives us the option of selecting whatever motions we want to use. I won't be demoing that right now because I've already done it. So if I go into jump tree here, this is the blend tree for my animation. And you can see that I have all of these 3 animations connected to this single tree. Now the parameter you're going to set to V speed. The thing that's being measured is the vertical speed, because we want to say, all right, when we're going at this speed, we want this animation, going at this speed, we want this animation, going at this speed, we want this animation. And those 3 different speeds are shown here in the threshold. By default, you're going to have automate thresholds checked, I believe. You want to uncheck that and make your own thresholds just to blend your animations a lot smoother, and because Unity might not really understand what you're trying to achieve. Now I have my jump up animation here at the bottom, and I've said the threshold is 1. So when we're going greater than a speed of 1 vertically, we will have this jump up animation play, and greater than a speed of 1 vertically means we're going up. Now when we have a speed that's in between minus 4.5 and 1, we want to have a particular animation play. So in the middle there, we have jump mid, and I've set that to a speed of 0 itself. That's kind of its threshold, but it sits in between where these animations don't touch. So jump up isn't going to go if the speed is less than 1, and jump down isn't going to go if the speed is greater than minus 4.5. So this animation will take up a good chunk of our airtime, which is what we want. And then I have jump down, and that is our vertical speed down. Of course, we've got a minus here because it is a negative value. And I found that this is a pretty good configuration that I've got working with here. We're going to go back to our base layer, and you can see all of my animations set up there. And to get to this, we're going to need a new parameter. Again, we're going to make another bool. So hit the plus icon and then bool. Double jump, and we'll go into our script. So at the beginning of our script, we've created this bool, double J, and we've said that it's going to be false. In void fixed update, we've assigned what double J is by saying anim.setBool and then double jump, just as we had it in the parameters in Unity, and then we've assigned double J to that. Then we go down and we have our script that deals with our jumping motions. Our current jump is incremented by 1 when we press the spacebar in the air. So under that, I've put a little if statement, and it says if the max jump is equal to the current jump, then we are going to set double jump to true. So we'll transition into that double jump animation. What does that mean? So our current jump is always set to 0 to begin with. When we press that spacebar, it's going to become 1. And that's equal to the value that we have for max jump. And we'll play that animation side by side with our double jump. I'm going to head back into Unity and show you how you can set all of this up. So you'll have double jump appear as an animation here. If not, then you just create a new state, empty, and then just choose the motion that you want up here in the inspector, and just rename it also where it says new state there. And delete that, and you won't have all of these arrows right now. The temptation might be to actually connect any state to our jump tree. If you've been looking at any of the other tutorials on the channel, then that's how we've done it for the majority of what we've been doing. But I found that there's a couple of issues just with our double jump when we do that. So we've had to specifically link our jump animation, so our overall jump animation, to all of the animations that it can come off of. So I've done the majority of those. I haven't done it for the attack animations, but that's something that can be ironed out in the future. So how have I done this? From the idle animation, we're going to transition into the jump tree by right clicking and then hitting make transition. You'll drag the arrow over, and this is what I've got on my arrow. So we have has exit time to false. We can shrink this transition time down if we want to, but that'll be something for a future part. So you have your conditions, and the condition that I used was ground equals false. So from our idle animation, we go into our jump animation with ground equals false. And what do you reckon it's going to be for all of our other animations? Ground equals false, ground equals false, and so it's just ground equals false from all of your running animations, your idle animation. Now, of course, we're in the air, we're jumping, we want to transition into our aerial animations. So how are we going to do that? Now, of course, we want to transition our jump into our aerial animations, which I haven't shown yet, but it actually does work. And to do this, you just make a transition and your conditions are going to be as such. So from your aerial one is true, you go from your jump into your aerial one. If it's false, you go back into your jump. And then it's a little different with the other animations because we can cancel out of them, but we can't go immediately into them from our jump tree. So we're just going to make a transition from aerial 2 into our jump tree, and that condition is going to be aerial 2 being false, and that's going to be the same with aerial 3 into our jump tree when aerial 3 is false. Of course, these animations just link together as they did before, so we don't have to worry about that. Not going to play around with any of that. Now here comes the interesting part with our double jump animation. We're going to link it from the jump tree, and this is going to use the double jump condition that we just created. So we know that our double jump condition is met when we are in the air, and our current jump is the same as our max jump. A perfect condition just to use by itself, so we can transition into double jump from our jump tree, and then when our double jump is false, we transition back. And I've actually left has exit time here because we want our whole double jump animation to play out. If I didn't have has exit time, then as soon as it becomes false, which is literally the moment that we double jump, it becomes false again because it just triggers really quickly and becomes false immediately. So to keep the animation around, we have has exit time as checked, so it plays out. Now with the situation with our aerials and our double jump, we aren't going to transition into the aerials from our double jump because, as I explained, the condition is met very quickly. So by the time that we're going to do an aerial, we would have already transitioned back into our jump animation, and then we'll go follow this route. So we're just having all of these conditions go into our double jump animation. And so we have this first condition that says when double jump is true, we'll go into aerial 1, and then it's the same for aerial 2 and aerial 3. So we can cancel out our aerials using our double jump. So I'm going to just demonstrate a couple of those moves and end the part. So that's a standard double jump. Aerial into double jump into aerial. So you can see that we actually go back into our first aerial. So aerial into double jump into aerial, aerial, aerial. Now I can do that with the second, but I can't double jump after that because I already used my double jump. So let's go jump, aerial, aerial, double jump, aerial, 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 or just 2 aerials. So it's pretty sick, to be honest, that we've been able to create this, and it's really the skeleton behind a lot of what we can do now. Because yeah, for aesthetics, there's a lot we can still do. I'm going to leave the project looking pretty much the same as it's going to look now. We're not going to do anything fancy with shaders and things because I think this project has stayed long enough on this channel. But we will have future parts where we're going to get into mechanics and things like that. But end of the day, I'm just really happy with how this double jump has turned out and how it just kind of gives us a little bit of movement options and things like that, making our game hopefully that bit more fun. Anyway, that has been another press any button tutorial. Hope you guys enjoyed this part. It's been a little bit more hands off this time. But definitely check some previous parts if you are a little lost for things like animations and all that stuff, because all of the skills that were demonstrated here have been explored pretty extensively already. But anyway, until next time, you know the catchphrase, press on and keep creating.